flip here. The trading post for December has hit, and this time we've gotten 2 new pets and our first ever rerun. Mitzi is a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer inspired pet available for 600 tender. She's cute. She's the daughter of the famous Metzen the reindeer from Wintervale celebrations. She even flies with you when you're on your standard flying mount. Pet's not having quite figured out how to keep up with the speed of the dynamic mounts yet. So she's got all the Christmas magic. She cannot be caged or sold in the auction house, because, you can only have one Mitzi. For battle ability, she has 349 power, which is in the top 2% of pets for sheer stats. Her speed leaves something to be desired at 252, which means more often than not, she's gonna go second in a fight. Her HP is at 1319, which is on the lower side, with almost 80% of the pets in game having a higher HP pool. That's a lot. Her choices for moves for slot 1 are Snowball, which deals a flat 389 with no cooldown, or Stampede, which locks you in doing the same move for 3 turns, but breaks the enemy's defenses for 50% increased damage for 2 turns after any turn that it hits. Stampede also does increasing damage and hits multiple times each turn, which is a great counter for moves like Bubble or Decoy. Her choices for slot 2 are Ice Barrier, which is on a 5-turn cooldown, which blocks the next 2 attacks that you or your opponent make, or Wild Magic, that adds 92 damage to every attack the opponent gets hit with. And the big cooldown in slot 3 choices are Headbutt on a 4-turn cooldown, dealing 553 damage and has a 25% chance to stun, or Call Blizzard on a 3-turn cooldown, which deals 498 damage and causes the Weather Effect Blizzard for 9 rounds. This Weather Effect causes elemental abilities to hit 25% harder. That's a lot. She's a critter, so that means she can't be stunned, rooted, or put to sleep, which is nice, but her lower health pool is standard for the critter type pets. The abilities matchup I'd probably use for her in PvE would be Snowball, Ice Barrier, and Call Blizzard. Start with Call Blizzard to ramp up Snowball's damage, repeat Snowball until Call Blizzard comes off cooldown, while using Ice Barrier whenever an opponent's big hit move will go off next turn. For PvP matchup, I'd set her up with Stampede, Wild Magic, and Headbutt. Stampede is a great way to get any block wall mechanics that the opponent has set up, Wild Magic to add the damage to any skill you do for a whopping 92 damage for 5 turns, and any move with even a chance to stun is good in PvP. Depending on the matchup, I'd probably lead with the chance to stun from Headbutt, and depending if I got the stun off or not, I would apply Wild Magic or go straight into Stampede. Her sprite and animations are great, taking models from our newest Emerald Dream pets and just jazzing them up for the holidays. In battles, I think she could be a great option for critter strategies with her very high power stat. She may be a glass cannon, but she's a glass cannon that can't be stun locked. And for our first ever rerun pet, first ever, Garlock, available for a whopping 750 tender, which is the same price as he was originally on launch 11 months ago. He's got his cycloptic sights set on Imperial Gorthian ambitions. He's chocked full of animations such as laugh, or point, or roar, but mostly if summoned he just gets sleepy and takes a nap by you. He cannot be caged or sold in the auction house. He's a pretty unique guy. For battle ability, Garlock has 349 power, which is in the top 10% of pets for stats. That could allow for some very hard punches. Garlock's speed is what you might expect from someone who sleeps all day, so with 249, he's almost always going to go second in a fight. His HP stat is at 1,465, which is on the lower side, with like 60% pets in-game having a higher HP pool. His move choices for slot 1 are Punch, dealing 334 damage, or the more targeted, Face Punch, with a 1-round cooldown that deals 167 damage and gets stronger by 167 every time it is used until it reaches a cap at 501 damage a punch. His move choices for slot 2 are Stone Skin, which lasts 5 rounds and blocks 83 damage from each move against you, or Takedown, inflicting 300 damage or 600 damage if the opponent is stunned. And the big cooldown on slot 3 is a choice between Deflection, The incredible always goes first ability that dodges the move the opponent used that turn, or Clobber on a 5-turn cooldown that stuns the opponent for 1 round. In PvE, I'd most likely find this guy to be set up with Face Punch, Takedown, and Deflection, rotating between doing Face Punch for stacking damage and Takedown for the static 300, and use Deflection when the opponent uses their big finisher. In PvP matchups, it's a little harder for Garlock, but I'd probably take Punch for slot 1, so I almost always have a move to inflict damage, regardless of cooldowns. Stone Skin to prevent things like Turret or Flock from hitting too hard, and Deflection for the block the larger moves like weather-based abilities. His sprite's cute and fun. He's an expensive little guy at 750 tenders. And for battle, he's kinda... well, there are better choices. Collectors could go for him as this is the only way to obtain Garlock. But if you don't fall for fear of missing out, you're not going to lose much sleep over Garlock. He is cute when he sleeps, though. Whew. On to the big reward. Cough, cough, big reward. For completing the trading post activities for the month, we have Buttercup. He's a Valentine's Day palette recolor of the baby Elderhorn, which kind of feels like the reward for December's trading post was like lost in the mail and they had to reach into a big old box of leftovers and see what worked. He does make more sound effects while doing his animations, though, than the baby Elderhorn. As much as I may want to, he cannot be caged or sold on the auction house. For battle ability, he has 260 power, which is the bottom percent of pets for all stats. Yeah, there really isn't an upside to that. Buttercup's speed, however, clocks in at a ludicrous 349, landing him in the top 2% for speed stat. Which means he may not always hit hard, but he's almost always going to go first. His HP stat is at 1,278, which is also low with only 3% of pets in game having a lower HP pool. Hey. His move choices for slot 1 are Trample, that does 140 damage, and then 10% of the target's current HP, or Horngore, inflicting anywhere between 235 to 352 damage. His move choices for slot 2 are Deep Freeze on a 4-turn cooldown, inflicting anywhere between 240 to 420 damage, and a chance to stun, which can be 100% if the opponent is chilled, or Tough and Cuddly again on a 4-turn cooldown at halves all damage Buttercup takes for the next 3 rounds. And the big cooldown for slot 3 is a choice between Stampede, which works just like Mitzi's Stampede, but it does less damage than hers, or Call of Winter, which is on a 4-turn cooldown, dealing 112 damage, applying Blizzard weather effect, giving the opponent the chilled status, and doing extra damage if the weather is already Blizzard. In PvE, I'd take Horngore for its larger damage over time, then Tough and Cuddly to reduce the incoming damage, while doing Stampede to the opponent. For PvP matchups, I'd take Horngore again for its larger, more reliable hit. And depending on the opponent's matchup, you could go with Tough and Cuddly and Stampede to reduce damage over time while you whittle them down with Stampede. Or if you need stun effects, go with Call of Winter to set up Blizzard, Weather, and then Deep Freeze to stun your opponent during their important turns. Though, because he doesn't have a block move, his weather effect leaves you wanting more damage inflicted. And it doesn't really just do enough damage as weather moves go. I don't know if he'll see much use in PvP. As a friend of mine says, though, a +1 of the collection is a +1. But Buttercup leaves a lot to be desired in everything but speed. You don't have to purchase him though, so, just do your monthly trading post activities and you get him. Freebie. Which brings us to the last little section before we wrap up here. Pet activities for the month. There's win 15 pet battles. Those can even be against level 1 rabbits outside of Stormwind or Orgrimmar, so you could very easily get 200 points in less than a few minutes. It took me like 2 minutes to do all 15 battles. There was win a PvP battle with the anniversary pet Little Frostwing on your team. Defeat pet tamers from each zone while their time walking week is active. Although Legion was broken and none of their tamers were up during their time walking week. Yeah. Defeat Northrend tamers with a little helper in your party. Catch any of a set group of winter-themed pets. and defeat any total 5 wild pets from the new zone Emerald Dream. Pretty fun set of activities, and it seems to be growing the ability of things that they're able to track with pet battles for achievements and rewards and such. I think Mitzi's a great pet, and could have even been the end of the month reward, but then again, I don't know anyone who would have bought Buttercup if that was the case. It's also welcoming to see our first pet return to the trading post. I wonder in the long term, or if the near future, 2 pets a month might become more standard. Let me know what you think about this month's pets, all the other rewards, and activities. Personally, I had a blast getting the little Frostwing PvP win, and I think I'll be skipping the Hunter class set. Just not for me. Alright, well, thanks for hanging out. Until next time, much love and peace.